after all that we've been through together these last couple of years. It's especially exciting, no matter whether I take my glasses on or off, I can't see the paper. It's especially exciting to welcome you back this year, it really is. The feeling of being robustly present on our campus together is exhilarating. We belong here. The fellowship of each other, in community with each other, is something to be cherished. On Welcome Back Day, it's important for us to thank the Sisters of St. Basil the Great for their prayers and their ministry that is Manor College. We thank our Board of Trustees Chairman Dennis McGrath and all of our trustees for gifting their knowledge, their leadership, and support. And we especially recognize the sisters and our institution as having achieved our 75th anniversary milestone. With the world changing with increasing rapidity, we hold some lingering COVID-19 concerns, but we also know that our nation has moved from a pandemic to an endemic. And while there will always be new health concerns on the horizon, our safety-first approach is a reflection of our institutional value system. Being resilient means caring for human needs. For this reason, we've converted our pandemic team into a campus health task force. Last academic year, our policies for COVID mitigation remained deliberate. Our facilities improvements implemented the full range of health strategies. They're covered ground for us now, but there's a few items that remain noteworthy. Last year we had 3 vaccination clinics, 2 in the fall and a booster clinic in the spring. We lifted the mask mandate in May. We updated our pandemic planning document, including the public document on our website, and we continue to benefit from planning and status discussions. As we begin the fall semester, we recognize that the economy post-pandemic and the natural demographics pre- and post-pandemic impact student populations across our nation. What you're looking at here are enrollment data from 2020. The beige through purple illustrates decreasing enrollment. And as an institution in a particular state, we're sort of between these two graphic charts in terms of statewide decreases. Fast forward to today, and of the 50 states, 46 saw post-secondary population declines in the last 2 years. When the landscape changes, you adapt and overcome. To do that, it's important to make clear where students' challenges are so that we can collectively and collaboratively strategize how we're going to address challenges for our prospective and current students. Preliminarily, in the last few years, we've framed our year-long themes as everyone being in admissions and everyone being in retention, and these sentiments remain important, and the urgency around our efforts are as true today as they were before. This year, our approach is more holistically resilient. This year, our theme is students first. If we want to be the best parents, or grandparents, or colleagues, or friends, we place love first. We want to be the best faculty, staff, and community that we can be for our students. It's the same. We place them first through the lens of our mission. We work together in new ways where we seek each other's counsel and have greater community in our decision making. There's something deeper still that I'm getting at. Our students are 75% from Philadelphia, 60% diverse, 65% first generation, About 80% working while in college, and 94% need and receive tuition aid. That alone tells us how and why and how critically they need our care. But if we go the layer further into their personal circumstances, we not only become witness to the very real challenges they face, we become the story that lifts them to new and real possibilities. When I first got to Manor 7 years ago, Leslie Weinfeld was the first to knock on my door with a student at her side. She said that he had talent and ability, but his direction was being stymied by a sense of not knowing what to do next. We spent time with him together, and we helped him to get on track. This was before we offered bachelor's degrees, and we helped him to enroll in a bachelor's program. He did. Afterwards, his mother called me and shared that at almost no point in his life was his father involved. His father wasn't interested. It crushed this young man, our student. It weighed on him. It pointed him directionless. It made his mother weep when she called to thank Leslie and all of us. That extra effort that we took because Leslie saw both his capacity as well as the burden that he bore on his shoulders made all the difference. Last spring, that student came back to campus to visit us. He graduated. He has a job, and he's working on starting his own business. Leslie's type of effort happens many, many times a year on campus, thanks to each and all of you. I know it because you share it with me. What I'm saying is, we need to double down now. And here's why. Here's why our theme this year is Students First. When the pandemic happened, the economic fallout was treacherous for our students. Now, the long-standing economic effects on the wealthy means a cut into their investment accounts, unless they own real estate, which went up, and either way, at least they have money, they retain money to invest. The long-standing economic effects on the middle class are the decreasing value of the dollar due to inflation and the rise in the cost of goods and services. Now, for those who live day by day, hand to mouth, the effects are deleterious. Right now, a gallon of milk is $5. A loaf of bread and a tube of Colgate are the same. A box of cereal, have you been in the markets? A box of cereal is 50% of the size that it used to be and twice the price. Without the cereal, we're at $15 and we haven't bought much of anything yet. Now, how do you afford it when you live in Philadelphia? And Philadelphia is the poorest of the largest U.S. cities, with 23.3% of residents living in poverty. It's the only American city with 20% of its residents, more than 20% of its residents, living in poverty. Then ask the question about how they'll afford college. The compounding issue for our students is that they're also attracted to these seemingly high-paying entry-level jobs. When they see the $15 and the $20 an hour, and the cost of everything is up, they're going to take those jobs because the Great Resignation is a way of suggesting there's high demand for entry-level workers. Perhaps that's good, because we certainly want our students to have access to their necessities and more. But it's also bad, because they're not just working, they're foregoing college. What they don't realize is the terribly poor value proposition of not going to college. Over time, inflation is going to catch up with the seemingly higher wages. Here's how much American households have been making over the last 50 years. As you can see, most households in 2020 dollars have been flat for more than 50 years. The lack of U.S. monetary policy ambition and ignoring the importance of growing a middle class through fostering opportunity for the middle and for the poor, instead of having stagnant class sizes, except for the rich, who keep growing in wealth, is a question that's much bigger than us. However, our mission isn't to stand by acquiescing. Our mission is to change the lives of the people that we can reach. We need to let our current and our future students know, while they're benefiting from wage changes right now, the changes are a temporary post-pandemic correction that will flatten out just like the bottom of this chart. We need to let them know that the warehouse job with Amazon will likely be automated in 10 years, just like Amazon's trucks will be automated on the roads. And then there's the question about whether the job will exist at all. We need to let them know that the job at the local grocery store may lead to some level of opportunity, but not nearly the level of opportunity provided by a college degree. The sum of these is that right now is the time to educate our students this academic year and our prospective students, not only about their chosen academic pathways, but about the world. In this world, the real way to cross lines and to move up in this chart is to take a look at this next one. The value of a college education is the number one, unequivocal game changer. Thanks to the media, from 2015 through 2019, Americans' faith in higher education dropped more than their confidence in any other institution measured by the Gallup polling organization. We cannot let the media's too liberal or too conservative or their education is too high-priced narratives distract students from the goal. The goal is to get a college degree, to become economically mobile, and to live a fulfilled life of bazillion service. And they need to do that, by the way, at Pennsylvania's best priced private residential college, which happens to be us. Another way of considering this information is through a Georgetown University study called the College Payoff. It was 2009. The study's findings show that lifetime earnings of associates and bachelor's graduates are significantly higher than lifetime earnings of someone with a high school diploma or less. The numbers in this study, the study itself, empirically proved that higher education opens up the highest paying jobs. And the study also held that there's a range of pay within jobs, such that more highly educated people tend to earn considerably more than their less educated counterparts in the same occupation. Moreover, this bachelor's number, is that fuzzy? I'm sorry. This bachelor's number is more like 2.8 today. It was about 2.2 or 3 in that slide. Let there be no doubt about it. College degrees create economic mobility. That mobility, as you know, is something that we've been lauded for in the past. We are uniquely positioned as a predominantly associate's degree granting, private, bachelor's small institution. Saying it just that way is a way of saying that we've been that since 2018, but it's actually just in the last year, thanks to John Krebs, that we're officially recognized as that in the Carnegie classification. Thank you, John. Manor's value proposition continues to help us to excel in the marketplace. We were again ranked the second safest college in the nation by stateuniversity.com. We offer more than 35 associate's, bachelor's, certificate, and micro-credential programs. We maintain a 15-to-1 student-teacher ratio. We are the best priced private college in Pennsylvania. John Krebs tells me it's like $14. We are. We're recognized for being the best intergenerational economic mobility. That was the New York Times. Our students have low debt, and 94% of our students receive financial aid, with the national average being about 85. We're ethnically and racially diverse by a margin of 60%, and we were founded by loving and caring, welcoming, religious Ukrainian women. Our faculty, through their own initiative, are using open educational resources, and we've included books for the cost of tuition for all but 3 of our programs. This year, our retention continues to grow as we speed towards the beginning of the semester. It's trending in the right direction, thanks to the all-in effort of our outstanding faculty of academic affairs, enrollment management, and the work of everyone, all of us here, who have taken seriously the calls of the past for everyone to be in admissions and retention. Thank you. Here are our 3-year, year-over-year comparisons, which show great progress. Today, the bottom line, total enrolled number continues to grow. It's actually about triple of what it's showing here. This was a couple of weeks ago when we took this snapshot. Our admissions are trending positively. They're sort of falling between pre-pandemic and pandemic admissions numbers, which is good. It suggests that we have opportunity, that we're rebounding from the pandemic, and also with us being in the Philadelphia metro area, it's a positive for us because the general population in the Philly area does continue to grow. Our admissions office leadership is outstanding. Dr. Joe Gillespie and soon to be Dr. Jessica Zaldos live the Basilian culture with a fantastic admissions team. They work collaboratively with all of our college's community to launch a new strategic enrollment management plan that charges us ambitiously towards our goals. As we emerge from the pandemic, emerged from it last year, we had robust admissions events. Again, here's our fall events. That one's our spring events. We also started to move back to in-person high school visits. The difference between the pandemic and afterwards is significant. Last year, more than 300 school visits were conducted, with almost 500 students attending. This was about a 10-fold increase from the prior year. Likewise, we attended 119 college fairs last year, collecting more than 3,000 inquiry cards, each one of which was painstakingly added to our admissions CRM system. And this doesn't even include an online 24-hour fair that was in the Northeast. Students had 24-hour access. We collected another 2,000 inquiry cards and entered all those. As a result of creating strong structures and admissions practices and admissions, our admissions office has new enrollment projections that point us on a path to continuous year-over-year growth through the year 2025. Thank you to our admissions team. Of course, we all work together, and it couldn't happen without Chris Hartman and our financial aid team. Chris is not hiding poinsettias under his desk. Katerina had a little fun with cutting and pasting him from the Christmas party. Thanks to the financial aid team, we were again helped. Our students were helped by a margin of 94% of them who were able to receive financial aid. Chris, Nick, and Rosie, thank you. You've all been wholly vested in the new financial aid and the clearing process that we've been going through and getting our students to the goal. Thank you. Thank you, Chris, the financial aid. Now, you know it all couldn't happen without strong fiscal policy. Let's take the long view. Over the last 7 years, we've had very efficient budgeting, and that's necessary because small institutions answer directly to students. Too often in higher education, and this is where lots of colleges, this is where they hurt themselves. The budgets are so lofty that they become an encumbrance. If you look at the debt load that most colleges saddle themselves with, it's in the tens and hundreds of millions of dollars. Manor College is one of the very few colleges in the nation with hardly any debt load at all. And that means that with excellent fiscal policy, we can pass along the most affordable private college tuition in the state. For 7 years, our approach led us to fiscal year ends that did not require borrowing, even when we needed or wanted to improve our facilities so that our students could be in the best environment that we could afford. We take a methodical, strategic approach to improvements and investments in terrific renovations, largely out of our operating budgets. In the last year, we improved the entire third floor of classrooms of Mother Perpetual Health Hall, the dental materials lab, the dental health center, the outdoor classroom. We renovated Basiliad Manor bathrooms for accessibility, and we converted the outdoor tennis courts into 2 regulation basketball courts. Among the things less noticeable, but just as important, our new LED efficient lighting, our final new boiler that was needed here in Basiliad Manor, and a new roof on St. Josephat Residence Hall, which for everyone who stood around with me a number of years ago in the center of the library, collecting gallons, probably hundreds of gallons of rain in tarps and trash cans, we know that new roofs are pretty important. We did nearly all of that, and everything that preceded it over the last 7 years with nominal borrowing. And as we head into this year, we're going to focus on planning infrastructure work that needs to be done, which means that this year we'll place a focus on campus master facilities planning and advancement planning with quiet phase fundraising. Thank you to Janice, Joe Vinglas, Jimmy, and David on our maintenance team, to our contractors, and Kelly and Tom for helping us to move Manor College over the years from an institution with a significant amount of deferred maintenance to an institution that mightily offers students our Basilian mission with contemporary facilities and technologies. This year we're implementing a new student information system. There has been an incredible amount of effort that's gone into this initiative. I know, I've listened to you all. I want to thank Janice and Joe Vinglas, our registrar's office, Nick and Diane, and everyone who's been a part of the process. We're set to go live with the system shortly after census. Anthology gives us excellent systems integration that includes the registrar's office, academic affairs, business office, admissions, and with time, other offices as well. Joe Vinglas has been capably leading IT and Santa's workshop. Joe actually just shared with me yesterday and today that last night his son achieved the status of Eagle Scout. Joe, thank you for doing so much of the quantitative and the qualitative behind-the-scenes work that I cannot possibly articulate. I'm sure everyone will join me in saying that we've noticed that things are just a little bit different around here than they were just a few years ago in IT. Thank you. Also looking forward to some cell phone boosters this year. Yes, we're finally going to have some decent cell phone service on campus. You can see here that Anne wouldn't let us take her picture, so that's Anne's hand. And the kiosks are for ordering in our dining hall. They're actually going to work, and they'll work in sync with our new student information system. Barb, our bursar, has assisted our students through the pandemic and beyond, and she's been working to help get them the finances that they need and get their financial situation squared away. Likewise, Karen is a quiet force in the business office. She's been vamping us up so that we have a designated office supply purchasing system, and that will help us to further preserve and keep us focused on our resources. Our marketing office is entrenched in the admissions and retention effort with a full range of support. If you haven't seen our Manor You Belong Here commercial, here is the 30-second version. Can we play that?
Yeah.
So let me say that Kelly and the marketing team have propelled this video to 24,000 views. Now, if you think that's special, our 15-second video has been watched more than 393,000 times. Thank you, Kelly. When the pandemic first arrived in March of 2020, we also needed a virtual tour. Not that one. Kelly identified a top national firm to help us with the virtual tour. They couldn't come to campus because of COVID, so we hired an independent videographer to help us. We put it together in a matter of weeks. It did well, reaching a peak of 16,330 visits during the pandemic. And the next year, when we had the chance, we redid the videography, and that was featured at last year's Welcome Back Day. This year, we refilmed all the videography and scripted students, alumni, and employees, so that when someone takes a virtual tour, they also have a virtual tour guide. The newest tour, as of the end of last fiscal year in June, had more than 1,400 visitors, averaging 6 minutes and 20 seconds of tour time, and inquiring for more information at a rate of 15%. This is a good and necessary feature for our website. Being at less than the peak visitors tells us that prospective students are fully ready, willing, and able to engage in face-to-face programs. How they first learn about us is a little different. A reshaped landscape is evident from studies completed by John Krebs. In a 2020 study, 2021, 29% of our students first learned about Manor College through an internet search. By plurality, this was the greatest percentage. Historically, however, preceding this, up to the pandemic, Manor had always relied upon word of mouth as the primary source of marketing and advertising. As such, 2021 was the first time an internet search was the #1 response to the question of how our students found Manor. Word of mouth was ranked 3rd behind college counselor 2nd. This past year, in 22, the student experience survey results showed that 33% of students first learned about Manor through an internet search, obviously a 5% increase from the prior year. What can be gleaned from this is two things. One is that the pandemic reduced word-of-mouth communication for 2 consecutive years, causing prospective students to seek out and continue to rely upon digital channels as the entry point to seeking us. And 2 is that the Office of Marketing and Communications have been improving their effectiveness. To this end, the year before last, web page users and new users were up respectively 15 and 17%. They're down 3 and 2% respectively this year, which retains a net gain of 12 and 15%. The key numbers, though, are where the rubber meets the road. Our applied page last year went up 20% over the prior year, from 22,000 views to 26.5 thousand views. And then we got to the actions. We get to the actions that are more formally at the top of the admissions funnel, with who is actually clicking on the apply page. Last year we had 2,900 people click on the apply button. This year we were up 139%, with more than 7,000 clicks. We did well in social media too. You can see here that we're up in all areas of social media. We started a TikTok account. Please don't ask me to do any of the 15-second dancing videos. Kelly, maybe I'll do it. Believe it or not, Facebook led the way in driving almost 10,000 users to Manor.edu, which is about twice the number of last year. And John Krebs' student experience survey showed that 75% of students enjoy seeing Manor in their social media feeds, which is a 5% increase from last year. Our YouTube channel and our Manor Now newsletter should be specially mentioned because, as you know, this year is our 75th anniversary year, and Kelly and Anthony have really been focusing on sharing authentic stories about our students and community members. Several stories tugged at our hearts, and one that keeps tugging at mine was from last October. It's about our student Sabrina Augusta. Sabrina spent 2 days buried in rubble following a 7.0 magnitude earthquake in Haiti. She prayed, "If it's my time to go, please forgive me for my sins. I'm not ready to die. But if it's my time, then I will leave in peace." 2 whole days went by before crews could remove her. Since then, Sabrina reflected on the medical personnel that helped her. They were strangers, but they demonstrated incredible kindness during a time when her trauma left her temporarily unable to speak. Sabrina said to herself, "One day I'm going back to school. My kids have to see me wanting more. I want to help people like they helped me. A lot of people back home in Haiti, they don't even have someone to wrap a bandage with. I don't want to just go back. I want to go back and help those in need." We learned all this in Manor Now. Sabrina enrolled in January of 21 with intentions of becoming a nurse. Yesterday, Sabrina and I got to reconnect briefly because she's one of the new Manor presidential ambassadors. Thank you to Kelly and Allie for starting that program. Sabrina hopes to graduate with a pre-nursing degree this fall and walk with our graduating class in the spring. We need to get her to goal. She realized her life's purpose is to give back. She already has the right values. It's up to us now to help her earn the right skill competencies with real stories. Like Sabrina's, our Manor Now newsletter has become a mainstay of sharing across the college. It's become such a win for Manor that we received a Covey Honorable Mention Award for Digital E-Media Newsletters for 2021, making Manor Now a statewide leader in design and purpose amongst our competitors. Through Manor Now, we've been able to share stories of everything from the Sims dynasty in the middle there to a story about how our Ukrainian Heritage Museum has one of the most iconic news symbols of Ukrainian resistance against oppression, the ceramic rooster. Have you seen that picture? Make sure you take a look at that on our website. It's the ceramic rooster, model of them. It's a copy of it. I guess it's made from the same old set. With left to us by Dr. Alexander Lishnicki, who was on our Ukrainian Community Committee. It's a replica, meaning it's made in the same, no, I shouldn't say it's a replica, it's one of the same, made in the same set and time. And it survived intensive shelling by the Russian armed forces. In total, Anthony Machinsky, who's our marketing communications manager, wrote more than 125 news stories over the year, including student profiles, faculty interviews, alumni features, hard news stories, and longer features. And the Office of Marketing Communications has produced and added 112 videos on our YouTube channel just since June 1st. In hard copy, you've seen all of our great sub-taglines on the billboards, on the cars, on the bus backs. The one sub-tagline, which is, "You have the grit, we have the degrees," that one's performed the best. Our Office of Marketing and Communications works closely with admissions to design all print materials, and I do mean all. Among them, we have a spotlight postcard series that features students, alums, professors, and it's detailing their stories and connections with majors and curriculum, along with a QR code, which became popular again, the QR codes in the pandemic. Our postcards won another copy. This time it was the Gold Award for print postcards. With Kelly overseeing both the marketing communications and our advancement office, it's worth noting that the offices work closely together for programs like our annual gala and our 75th anniversary. And here now, advancement warrants mention. First is that we can take the longer look at performance over time. Advancement is an office that performed better than it did in 2015 every year since, but it's been most successful under Kelly Pfeiffer and Tom Sims' leadership. The year before last, we exceeded our annual advancement goal by roughly 25-30%. Last year, we exceeded it by close to 300%. Across 7 years, I'm estimating a little bit here now, we're between 1,000% and 1,400% ahead of where we were. Granted, last year we did have one major gift that sort of set us apart from prior years, but even if you take that out, we would still exceed our goal handsomely. Today, there are more gifts and more donors involved in supporting our mission and our students than there have been for years, maybe for decades. Our annual gala adapted to the pandemic environment early on, moving to an online format, which has worked out rather well. We have a wonderfully produced virtual program with the fellowship of community and robust engagement. 2 years ago, we honored Jim and Marie Nevels, and we won Cubby. And last year, we honored Leslie Turner, and we won another Cubby. This time, it was the Bronze Award for special events. Our gala this November will honor one of our region's most prominent and perhaps one of the nation's most esteemed allied health foundational leaders, the Reverend Dr. Lorena Marshall Blake, President of the Independent Blue Cross Foundation. And emceeing the program will be NBC 10's anchor, Tracy Davidson. It will be another outstanding presentation of the program. Whether it's raising money by having Adam Sandler and the NBA players on campus to film the movie Hustle, or inviting Pennsylvania's governor to join us while launching a digital literacy grant, there has been marked excitement in the advancement office. And that's because of everyone's involvement. Dr. Senecoff and Crosby and Professor Sims have long been involved with campaign funds that they started and that continue toward endowment. And recently, we've seen the leadership level support coming from our trustees, Dr. Orsher, Stacia Mento Maloney, Jane Zagatowski, and our VP and Dean of Students, Abby Lewis. Among others, successful campaigns like we had for Summer Giving Week. Everyone should know that our trustees give at a 100% level. This is essential to seeking grants and appropriations from foundations and government agencies. Our advancement office also played a role in helping us to address the ongoing war in Ukraine. It's something that I've spoken about extensively elsewhere, and I'll be speaking about it again extensively in December at the Ukrainian Federation of American Annual Dinner. Today, I want to thank you for all of your and our collective humanitarian efforts. We have together raised tens of thousands of dollars. We have shared prolifically from our personal resources in kind, and we've become a central location, online and in person, for bridging conversations to ensure we're offering our most resilient compassion for our brothers and sisters in Ukraine. Thank you. We also thank Manor's Ukrainian Community Committee of its board, and Leonard Mazur as committee chair for facilitating and framing how we serve as good partners. And we thank those who seek to partner with us, like the Ukrainian Self-Reliance Federal Credit Union, who support our Ukrainian Dialogue Speaker Series, where we have a chance to talk about the most critical issues in Ukrainian, American, and global stateship and affairs. At Manor, you know that there's a real sense of being intertwined with Ukraine, and you can see God's plan when you open the pages of Dr. Smolar's book on the history of Manor College. When Matthew agreed to go down the path of publishing such a treatise, neither he nor I could have ever predicted the escalation of Russia's war, nor how Jenkintown's own Manor College would ascend to national prominence. Manor has been lauded for our humanitarian efforts by the publication Inside Higher Education, in the company of Notre Dame and Columbia Universities. In fact, the story of Manor College is the story of Ukraine's people caring for humanity in America. Those Ukrainians are our sisters of St. Basil the Great. Their care is what we call resilient. They are who we emulate. And we are the only college in the nation founded by Ukrainian sisters. This is where it all comes together. We are the intersection of caring for students because of who we are and what we do and our mission and the history of this holy college. We place students first because doing so is what the Sisters' legacy calls upon us to do. We place students first because we are the Sisters' ministry. We place them first because as we love our own children, so too should we love the students as God's children. Our faculty's care for our students is authentic, and faculty have placed students first because they have the conversation with students and understand their circumstances firsthand. Our faculty have pushed our students to succeed because they've built these rapport. In the last academic year, we had 121 students on the Dean's List in the fall and 93 in the spring. We had 10 Basiliad Scholar Awards, acknowledging candidates for graduation speaker, and many academic excellence awards conferred by our academic divisions during convocation. Faculty and academic affairs have taken great strides this year to create a new student onboarding process, a post-pandemic in-person, in-classroom policy, and a variety of intersections with admissions, student affairs, and the business office to ensure a level of institutional engagement that demonstrably evidences we're all rowing in the same direction. From working with health services to track the receipt of student medical forms, to attending admissions events, and following up to ensure there's a strong process for financial aid clearances before registration occurs. Our faculty have been beautiful. Thank you to our faculty. Likewise, faculty professional development has grown, making UDL pervasive throughout our curriculum is emerging as a future win for our faculty and a future win for our students. It's the same with cohort building. There's long-standing evidence that cohorts increase retention, and faculty are facilitating not only the building of relationships between students and faculty, but between students and students. Over the last several years, our academic programs have expanded and contracted by intention. In speaking of curricular pathways to multiple credential levels, we took some risk to meet the market needs. We created new programs, and as we saw the market impact, we shifted to ensure continued matching of student needs with institutional effectiveness and efficiency. To that end, we're at a new plateau from which we need to launch. We're doing that with thanks to our faculty. We're working through development of an upcoming LPN program and preparing this fall's new human services program. Let's continue to be innovative to meet student, employer, and marketplace needs. I know our new provost, who I'll be speaking about in a few moments, is interested in faculty programmatic and curricular innovation and entrepreneurship. In this last year, our academic divisions were standout. They were standout in all of their accomplishments that included scholarly publications. They were standout in their extensive level of community and college service, particularly as we moved beyond the pandemic. And faculty were standout in guiding our students to many achievements and accolades. You know that I cannot mention them all, but just to name a few, let's start with the Allied Health Division, who conferred degrees to 46 students in May, awarded 15 academic excellence awards at our annual convocation. Dr. Marks and our vet tech faculty completely assessed and updated vet tech curriculum. Dr. Saunders and dental hygiene have a new merit-based dental hygiene admissions process in what continues to be a highly competitive, high-performing program. Jamie Simpson led us to achieving yet another $25,000 grant from Independence Blue Cross in what is now a series of 4 of such grants over 4 years, $100,000. Thank you. Remain fully face-to-face with 100% of our students passing the X-ray exams. In arts and sciences, we conferred 42 degrees upon 42 students in May. Arts and Sciences awarded 6 academic excellence awards to graduates at the annual convocation. Dr. Senecoff, in collaboration with Professor Rochelle and John Krebs, created our new Associates in Science and Human Services that I mentioned. And responding to the market, our Liberal Studies BA programs were consolidated into a single interdisciplinary program. In business education and professional studies, we conferred degrees to 58 students in May 22. We awarded 6 academic excellence awards to graduates at the annual convocation. In academic services, we helped facilitate a pledge for a $50,000 gift for Project Resilience, which is a Ukraine-focused project that ensures that diaspora generational knowledge is preserved, digitized, and archived. Rich and Nick Brunitsky and George Danilou, they have coordinated the absorption of this first collection. If you're wondering what all those boxes are, and here, that is another part of the Dr. Alexander Vishnicki and his children's gift to us. Handshake Career Services software was implemented by Rich as our Career Services Director. Nick Brunitsky and Dr. Crosby helped us to secure for a grant to continue our CDA program. And as the war redeveloped in Ukraine, Nick Rudnitsky participated in more than 20 interviews where he spoke to the value system of Manor College and the sisters. And he promoted our institution and our Basilian mission of caring for humanity in statesmanlike fashion. Thank you, Nick, for representing us well so well. I think that was the first time I didn't pick on you. Welcome back to this so that takes us to faculty promotions and hires. Let's start with Dr. Jerry O'Sullivan, our interim provost and BPAA. Dr. O'Sullivan was serving on the Academic Affairs Committee of Manor College's Board of Trustees and as the CEO of Corvus Education. He holds a PhD from the University of Pennsylvania, a master's degree from Vanderbilt, and a bachelor's degree, summa cum laude, from Fordham University. He's also a graduate of the Harvard University Institute for Educational Management. For almost 30 years, Dr. O'Sullivan has served independent higher education in roles of increasing responsibility, from faculty member and program director through dean, and then vice president for academic affairs, and then provost. His CAO roles were with Newman University, where he and I first became colleagues and friends, and then St. Peter's University. At Newman, he and I jointly shared one of the institution's most significant accomplishments in its history, moving from college to university status. I was in charge of compiling and presenting the evidence, and Jerry was in charge of ensuring the evidence was there presented, such as through fostering the launch of the college's first PhD program. As an accreditation specialist, he's written and co-written numerous self-study reports, interim and periodic review reports, and progress and monitoring reports on Middle State stuff. Dr. O'Sullivan has also served as an accreditation visitor, team chair, report leader, and consultant with state and federal agencies on matters critical to independent higher education. He's published articles in Change, a magazine of higher education, and Deans and Provosts, among other articles. Dr. O'Sullivan does not come to us as a status quo maintaining interim. Dr. O'Sullivan is entrepreneurial, and he'll be asking for faculty's thoughts on initiatives and for all of our help with new program identification appropriate to our culture and history and responsive to the marketplace needs of our students and their future employers. Jerry, we welcome you to our visiting community. We also welcome and congratulate a number of our faculty and staff in alphabetical order. We've got faculty promotions: Jenny Bushell, Assistant Professor and Program Director of Psychology and Human Services; Dr. Cherie Crosby Weeks, Interim Coordinator of Disability Services; Rich J., I can't say his last name, Career Counselor and Middle States ALO; Nick Rudnitsky, I can barely say his last name, Director of Student Records and Institutional Heritage; Dr. Chris Shuttle, Assistant Professor and Program Director, and James Simpson, Dean of Allied Health. Also welcome Dr. Marty Trudeau, Assistant Professor. In administration and staff promotion and hires, we've got some new staff hires. We already talked about Jerry. We've got Juan Perez-Jones, Shantaway Towns, both admissions counselors. Staff promotions and achievements, we've got Reverend John Trapita, now our campus ministry coordinator. Katerina Kilmer, who moved from manager to director of policy, compliance, and risk. Christina Prokopovich is now going to be helping us this year as our student code of conduct hearing officer, in addition to her other role in our Ukraine Ukrainian Heritage Studies Museum as a curator, Tara Quigley, Director of Student Engagement, Tom Sims, Executive Director of Advancement, and Joe Inglis, Manager of IT Planning. And we now congratulate our members of our community who have achieved graduate degrees. Dr. Chris Shuttle, successfully defending her EDD dissertation in June. Evelina Kilmer has achieved her Juris Doctorate degree in January, and Chantalee Towns has achieved her Master's in Education. That was in April of 22. As we congratulate everyone on these career milestones and new chapters in Manor, we share with our new colleagues that the you belong here culture at Manor is one where we are actively and consistently engaged in inclusivity. In the last year, our DEIA committee led another successful social justice symposium. They fostered a live accessibility training and helped us to fashion a framework for hiring that is both inclusive and non-discriminatory. And the DEI committee also helped us with spearheading more than 10 additional programs and activities aimed at educating our community and fostering an environment where everyone indeed feels and senses that they are not just included but embraced. The DEIA committee comes under Student Affairs, which worked throughout a year of re-emerging from the pandemic to keep our students energized and used creativity to foster a welcoming and fun environment for our students from beginning to end. Thank you, Allie, and everyone at Student Affairs. Commencement is always such a collaborative program, marking both an end and a beginning. Last academic year was our first fully outdoor lawn ceremony, first one ever, with more than 800 guests, 147 graduates, 89 who processed. We had a wonderful MC in Trustee Girafalco, an inspiring speaker in Trustee Orsher, and we made history by coordinating with 26 other colleges and universities in our nation to confer our first ever honorary doctoral degree on Ukraine's President, Volodymyr Zelensky. And this was for his bravery, his courage, and his humanitarianism in the face of Russia's attack on Ukraine. Thank you to our commencement committee, student affairs, and to our faculty for making it one of the most memorable commencement ceremonies that we have ever enjoyed. Leading up to commencement during the year, student engagement hosted 45 events and engaged Manor College students 1,176 times as individuals. The events included a variety of fun activities. There were take and makes, stuff a critter, and Cobra self-defense karate. The LEAD, Voluntary Leadership Skills Development Program, has really been getting traction. It's been getting steam, and it's continuing to gain steam as we go forward. And it was supported by the Swarthmore Group and Truist Bank with some guest speakers. We thank them. Our clubs and organizations, they sort of struggled to renew themselves post-pandemic, but this year we know that they're going to get back rolling ahead as well. And we did have 2 new clubs that were created, gaming and volleyball. I'm sure you all heard that volleyball one. It was very successful. Overall, our student satisfaction survey said that our students were 95.6% satisfied with their sense of campus community. Pretty good. We received a 4th It's On Us grant of nearly $30,000 to help support education regarding the prevention of sexual assault and harassment. Manor's community service hours were up 6.5% to 398 hours, with 125 faculty, staff, and students participating in tutoring, packing food supplies for homeless neighbors, building a career clothing closet, and even creating a home community garden. In residence life, we returned to room doubles after intentionally reducing to singles during the pandemic. We kept guest and visitor privileges suspended to reduce COVID incidents while vaccinations were commencing. As you can see on the slide, our number of conduct incidents in the residence hall remained low. It's because of Shanika's leadership and strong programming using what's called the Shared Plus model, which is an acronym. It's for self-awareness, health and wellness, academic preparedness, responsible citizenship and community services, engaging in manner, and diversity, inclusion, and social development. Talk about a program that fits snugly with your vision and mission. Thank you to Shanika. Residence Hall focused programming increased to between pre and during the pandemic numbers, and we know that in the coming academic year, they'll continue to increase. Christy Prince held 233 individual counseling sessions last year, recognizing that the year was very challenging for students' mental health. As you know, in Christy's role as Director of Counseling, she leads the Student Concern Team, which helps identify at-risk students and guides them to counseling and resources. Thank you, Christy. In her work, the stresses that were identified were often COVID-19 related. This affected every aspect of our students' lives. Students were given support as through our student emergency fund, our bird feed food pantry, supportive counseling, and referrals for off-campus therapists, as well as support groups and a psychiatrist for medication management. Our student satisfaction with personal counseling increased from 92% to 95.9%. Pretty good. Thank you, Kristen. Our Director of Health Services, Lauren McDonald, remains a core leader and participant in pandemic management and health management. During the last year, she saw almost 200 students and staff. Some examples of her work include the vaccination clinics that we talked about earlier, as well as blood pressure screening and medical clearing our new students. Student satisfaction with health services increased from last year's 92% to 94.7%. Thank you very much, Lauren. In athletics, our own John Dempster is credited with creating the Eastern Pennsylvania Athletic Conference, EPAC, under the umbrella of the USCAA. This was a significant achievement. Forming this conference means that there will be conference playoffs, championships, and awards our teams will compete for, in addition to the national championship offered by the USCAA at the 4-year level. Now, as you know, as the pandemic waned, some athletic programs were still being cut short. Through all of the stops and the starts, our men's basketball team was winning games. Our record caught the eyes of the USCAA seating chairs as we moved up to 5th. This led to our first ever USCAA National Championship invite in Fort Lee, Virginia. Thank you, JD, for Our track team participated in the USCAA Track and Field Invitational. The team performed very well and finished in the top 3 several times. And 2 of our volleyball players asked if they could start the volleyball club, which they did. That idea was approved. The club met every Tuesday afternoon. The turnout was very strong and successful. Thank you again, JD. Our public safety office is ably led by David Caristo. Because of his long-standing relationships, he was able to arrange for us to have a school safety review by the county in the last year. As a result, we made some changes that include, among the more noticeable, that we've removed certain door handles to be in compliance with the post-Virginia Tech best practices. There are also a variety of other improvements and a variety of other accomplishments by the office To name a few, we've got some updated emergency plans and wall posters. They've gone through CPR, EpiPen, and first aid training, and they are renewing and further solidifying relationships with our local fire and police departments, getting them directly involved with our activities and giving them tours of our campus. Students were 96.2% satisfied with public safety and personnel. David, next year we want you to round it up to a clear 100%. We're all very grateful for the work of our public safety officers. Before we conclude, we always love to welcome our new baby Blue Jays. We've got Otis here, who's the son of Kelly Durham Barron. And we've got grandbaby Blue Jays, Cass and Shay, granddaughter of Dr. O'Sullivan, and Ralph David Gillespie, born yesterday, the 31st grandchild of Dr. Joe Gillespie. We asked Joe how many grandchildren he might expect to have. And this is the text that he sent. If you see Joe growing a beard, please let me know. And Joe, we just want to make sure that all of your grandchildren are properly Blue Jay. We have a little onesie for you here. Congratulations to our baby Blue Jay. Here are some fun facts about our incoming class. They're less than 32% of the global population. Oh, it's gone. Well, I can tell you them. Less than 32% of the global population. They account for more than 80% of online purchases. Lady Gaga and Bruno Mars are twice as old as they are. I'm not going to go through all of them, so you can just pop them down there, Katerina. There's some interesting ones on here. A 20-ounce loaf of bread cost $2.09, and a dozen eggs were $1.49 when they were kids. Here's kind of a sad one. They're the loneliest generation. Their endless hours spent online can foster feelings of isolation and depression. Diversity is their norm. With Gen Z, it's 52% white, 25% Hispanic, 14% black, and 4% Asian. Now, 77% of their video content comes from YouTube. And YouTube was invented when there were roughly one. This is distinguishable from the boomers. I'm surprised that the boomers were at 40%, but boomers, 40% of their YouTube content, their video content comes from YouTube, but they're still at 45% of traditional sources for their media. And then for our students, the Human Genome Project was already old news. So in conclusion, as we further consider the profile of our returning and our new students, placing them first has to be the fabric of who we are at every moment. Heightened collaboration with each other, working together for new ideas and solutions, and giving each other spaces and forums to have that dialogue is essential. We're not a large public institution with unlimited state resources, and we don't intend to be. How our students feel about us, and how they feel about Manor. Individualized, personal attention, that's what sets us apart. It's what makes us the choice over the big university. That means actively helping students to get their questions answered. And it means anticipating their questions, because we know that so many of them are first generation and they've got no one else to ask. It's up to us to take that extra step of coaching, guiding all of us. Let's show them that they belong here. Thank you for the gift of your thoughtfulness and your presence this morning. God bless all of our students. God bless you. God bless the Sisters of St. Basil. And God bless Manor.